guys, this is Stormouse03, and this is my Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Dark Difficulty walkthrough. So we're going to continue with Chapter 1 here. Between the last episode and this episode, I did some running around and looting in a bunch of the houses here in FLOTSAM. So I would suggest that you do the same. You just want to grab as much stuff as you can. And at some point while running around town, you'll encounter these guys who are trying to collect a bounty on your head. And you just want to, be careful, take these guys out like normal. There's a group of 3 of them, and it seems like, 3 enemies, no sweat. But 3 enemies can actually do quite a bit of damage to you if you're not careful. And you'll see at a point during this fight, I get cornered. And I think all 3 of them hit me at once. And it's just right there. Yep, couldn't roll away from them quite quickly enough. They had me sort of surrounded, and all 3 of them, I think, landed a hit, and it was just bad. You also want to be aware that sometimes on these walkways, you can't really roll off of them, so you want to be aware of that. You don't want to get yourself trapped in a corner trying to roll off when you can't. So otherwise, just trying to, take it slow and safe, hit them until they block you, use your Igni, use your Kin, use anything that you're comfortable with in order to do some damage to these guys. And use the town, because you do have room to maneuver here. You don't have to limit yourself to a small space. So once those guys are taken care of, you can continue on looting all the houses in the area, and I'm going to go forward here to the point where I had finished doing that, gone into the tavern, dropped off all my stuff, and sold what I didn't want, and then I'm going to go meditate, wait until midnight, and then I can meet this guy, King Ziggy, that we met in the previous episode, and start this next side quest here. So this side quest here is called Fight Club, and you're going to be actually going to a place where we're going to need to be for the main quest. It's Lorito's compound, and we'll be back in there a couple of times actually. These guys make you leave all of your equipment at the door, and you have to agree to that in order to continue on. So it's not all of your equipment, but it's your weapons. And so you'll see I just looked at that training dummy, and I'll be back in here at some point with my weapons in order to destroy those training dummies, because if you remember way back to the prologue, I believe it was the first episode, and I destroyed 5 of those training dummies in the camp, and I said that there would be 5 in this chapter too, and that once you destroy all 10 of those, that you will get this perk to increase your experience. So that's good, and we'll definitely be coming back with a weapon for that. But right now, we're going to do some more fist fighting, and again, it's the same thing that you've been doing before. All of these fist fights are exactly alike. The quick times are different, and the opponents will have more health as you go along, so it takes a little bit longer, and sometimes the quick times get a little bit more complex, so they'll be using buttons that are at opposite ends of the, pad or whatever, but it's nothing too complicated. The quick times are pretty forgiving too, so, and you don't have to do them all perfectly. You can take a couple of punches if you happen to mess up, so nothing too bad. After you've fought, I think 3 or 4 opponents here, Lorito's gonna approach you and ask you to throw the last fight, and he offers to, bribe you with some money if you throw the fight, and he'll, make more money because he is, he's betting on you. This guy is my favorite. He calls himself Tassel Dick, and the name above him says Smug Face. And I just, for whatever reason, I thought that was incredibly amusing. So he's definitely my favorite opponent here to fight and kick the crap out of his little smug face. So I believe it's after him that you're going to be approached by Laredo. Yes, and so he's gonna, you know, tell you everybody's betting on you except for me, and you know, you say you can decide whether or not you want to take the money from him and throw the fight or not. I don't do that because, you know, I like to win. You know what I mean? So, and Laredo's kind of a snot face, and I don't want to make him any wealthier. So I am going to do the fight as normal and kick the crap out of this skinny little dude. And he threatens you, and you'll see the result of that threat a little bit later. He'll send some guys to rough you up, but after you get done, that will complete the quest there, and you can go back to the box right there and pick up your weapons and re-equip everything. Then I'm going to immediately go back in here because I'm going to be continuing on with the main quest. And again, you have to talk to the guards, and you have to leave your weapons in that box there. So you're going to be following Roach, and we're going to be doing a couple of things here. He notices that there's a ballista over there, and you're going to be tasked with figuring out how to sabotage it. And so a good way to do that is to come over here to this woman called Margarita, and she is a lady of the night, and you're going to want to get her to go distract the guard who's guarding the ballista. So there are a couple ways you can do this. You can bribe her, you can pay her, but I don't want to pay her money. So you can also say, is there any other way I can convince you? And she wants you to humiliate two of these thugs. And so that is what we are going to proceed to do. It involves arm wrestling them both. And they're these big tattooed fellows. There are more of them who sort of look similar, but you just want to look for the ones that are named Myron and Alphonse. And this is Myron, and you sort of challenge him, and you want to, you know, use your left stick, move the little circle, and try to keep it on the little bar as it's decreasing. And if you win like that, you will have taken care of half of what you need to do, and then you just need to find Alphonse. And you'll see that there are some of them that look the same that are not the ones that you want, but they're both in this general area, so not too difficult to find. So again, you challenge him to some friendly, quote-unquote, competition, and the same exact thing, you just keep the little circle in the bar. I like to keep it toward the right side a little bit. That way you can kind of let it rest for a second while the rest of the bar is catching up.
Damn the dogs!
That's kind of how I do that, but I would save there and you know, just reload if you mess up. So then you just go back and talk to her, tell her that Myron and Alphonse are thoroughly beaten, and she'll go and distract the guard here. And so you just need to sort of go over and kind of lurk around in this area and wait for her to go through her dialogue with the guard here as she convinces him to move away from the ballista. And as soon as he turns around and starts to walk off with her, you can go up to it and get your sabotage on. So here they go. We're going to wait for him to start moving down there, and then you just go up here, click search, and you'll have removed a component from it and disabled it there. So that completes that part of this quest, and we're going to go up here and talk to Roach again and head on up these stairs. and keep going. So the guy at the top of the stairs tells you that Laredo is busy, and so we take this opportunity to go sneak around his compound and try to get some stuff and find out some information. And we're going to be getting some important stuff here from this section, and we're also going to be getting an achievement during this part. There's a guy that comes over here to talk to you, and you want to agree to hear him out, and he's going to tell you about this crafting item. It's an iron frame that you can pick up from this area, and that will help you to make a trap when you fight one of the bosses of this chapter later on. So you want to make sure to pick up that while you are going back here. So Roach is going to distract this one guard, and while the one up there has his back turned, we're going to do some sneaking. Again, make sure you don't have a weapon equipped here, and we're just going to hide behind this rock and watch this guard right there. He's going to turn around, and as soon as he moves past the rock, you can move around behind him and knock him out. Then we're going to head up to the left, and there's going to be a guy relieving himself on the side of the wall, and you can just sort of move along behind him, take him out. You know, leave him in a puddle of his own urine there. It's a very nice thing to do to a fella. And then you just want to climb up these rocks and move along into the next area, which is a little bit trickier to get around than that first one. There are a few more guards here. And so once you hop down here, you want to move over here on the left, kind of hide along this wall. There's going to be a guard there that you want to make sure doesn't see you as you move along through this area. So you just want to kind of peek around this corner. You see him there, and you're going to wait for him to turn around, and then you can move along here to the right. You'll notice this was the area where we just were for the fight club, down that place there. This is another guy who's going to be, you know, relieving himself on the wall, and you just move along and take him out before he has a chance to move from that spot. And then there are two more guards in this area, and this is the trickiest part here because it's kind of difficult to get around them sometimes. But you want to kind of hang out behind this wall and wait for the one guard to kind of move over and have his back turned, so that you can move out to some logs that are out here that you can hide behind. So we're going to sit behind these logs, and sometimes it takes a second for it to actually go into hiding, which gets kind of scary and tense, but it will be alright. And you just want to watch these guys' patterns here. Neither of them can see you while you're behind these logs, so you're pretty safe to just sit there and kind of watch what they do. And so when this guy moves around and the other one has his back turned, you can come up behind this one here and knock him out. And then you can move around to this other guy. So you want to stay to the left of him because he's going to turn to the right, and as long as you stay to his left, he should not see you before you knock him out. And then you can proceed to loot the stuff in this area. When you come around up here, there's that chest there that has the iron frame in it, and in this area there's also a piece of armor that we picked up from the crates and stuff in this area right there. You'll see we got the iron frame and the Astragarus armor, and that's going to be useful for later on, so you want to make sure that you've picked that up. It's hard to see, or you can't see actually. It kind of has a little glitch in this area where it doesn't show you what you're picking up. So you need to check your inventory and make sure that you've picked up the iron frame and the Astragarus armor before you move on out of this area. And so then once you make sure you have both of those, you come up here and you sort of eavesdrop at the window, and that gives you some insight into the way that the story's playing out, and this new character, Sheila de Tanserville, who's going to be important later on. And once that eavesdropping is finished, you can proceed around here and move on out of this area to finish up this quest. Sometimes the loot in this area respawns, and so that's kind of an extra perk for going to pick it up before you listened at the window. But you just climb up that ladder and jump over, and you come back over here to talk to Roach. Let him know that you were successful. And as soon as you've finished talking to him, you will get your achievement Man of the Shadows, and that is for going through that area without getting caught. So that is how you want to do it. You can save, and I would recommend actually saving probably about halfway through that section, just in case some of those guards in the later area see you. So we have one more point, and this is actually the last point that we have to put into the Witcher sort of training path. And so I put that into the vigor regenerations outside of combat, so that, you know, your magic comes back a little bit faster once you stop. And, so the next thing you want to do is to not leave the area, and you actually can't, which is a good thing because you don't want to abandon this quest. You want to go back up the stairs, and I had a moment of forgetfulness just then, but luckily it didn't let me do something stupid, which is good. So you go up, you talk to this guy, and you're just going to go inside Laurito's compound and have a little chat with him. I don't know that it matters so much what exactly you say to Laurito, but it could have some repercussions as far as the path that you want to choose. And so I know that I'm going to be taking the Iorveth path here, and so when he talks to me about, you know, I want you to take out Iorveth and whatever, I pick some of the more diplomatic answers. So I don't ever promise him that I'm going to kill Iorveth. You know, he's not my target, etc., etc., because I know that he's the one that I'm going to want to side with when I have that choice. So I don't want to say anything to this guy that's going to potentially mess that up for me. Although I don't think that it does. I mean, you can probably promise him whatever you want to, and then, you know, you'll still get the option to make whichever choice you want to. But for consistency's sake, that's what I do. And so once you're done talking to him, you have effectively finished this part of the main quest. I'm just going to loot what I can loot of his house before heading back out and leaving this area, because there's really nothing else left to do right here for the moment. So I'm going to head back out, make sure again to check the safe on, or the chest on the right here, and pick up all your stuff and make sure you equip your things. And I'm going to put on that Astragarus armor and make sure you re-equip your bombs and anything that has been taken off of you. Again, you want to make sure you have that iron frame, that, you know, something weird didn't happen and you missed it. And then you can use any of these armor enhancements on the Astragarus armor if you want to. The Dwarven enhancement is probably the best one right now, but you don't necessarily have to do that. We're going to be working on getting the special armor in this chapter, and that's really the one that you're probably going to want to put those enhancements on. So when you come up here, you're going to be if you chose to not take the Rito's bribe during the Fight Club quest, there's going to be these guys who he sent after to take you out and teach you a lesson for, how dare you not do what I told you to do. And so there's only 2 of them, and they're not too scary to take out. So once you finish them, that is both of those quests done. And so I'm gonna end this episode here and continue in the next one. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you as we continue chapter 1.